Hello third graders, welcome back to Online Reading with Miss Nazaripour. Today in our reading lesson, we are going to get back to the topic of theme. But unlike yesterday where we read a whole long picture book called Noodlefant, we're going to be reading some shorter texts today, but we're going to continue looking for the moral or the lesson that the author wants us to learn. In other words, we're looking for the theme or the message in the story. So before we get started though, I want to talk a little bit about the kinds of text we're working with today. We're working with fables, and I bet that you remember some important facts about fables from the second grade, but let's remind ourselves. So like I said, fables are short stories. They aren't long like Noodlefant. Do you remember what genre fables are? Are they fiction, the umbrella genre fiction, or the umbrella genre nonfiction? Go ahead and say it out loud. Yeah, guys, they're fiction. They're made up stories, but they're made up for a specific reason, and that is to teach us, the reader, a lesson. So they're short stories, they're fiction, and they teach a lesson. I want to remind you also, since we're going to be working with fables for the rest of the week, of some elements of a fable that are important for us to remember. In fables, the main character is an animal. In fact, today we're going to be reading about a rhinoceros. The animals talk and act like humans. Do you remember what we call that when we give non-human things like rhinoceroses or teaspoons, when we give them human characteristics? Remember what that's called? I know one of you do. Personification, that's right, we call it personification. And then in fables, we have very simple characters, very simple plots. They're just stories to teach you a lesson. There's not a lot of character development, but the important thing to remember that your character, your animal, will always learn a lesson. And I'll go ahead and throw this in the Schoology page for us. But without further ado, we're going to get into the book the fable we're reading today from this book called Madame Rhinoceros and Her Dress. I'm actually, though, there's a really great picture of Madame Rhinoceros in this book, and I'll show it to you, but not till the end, because you're going to make a visualization. So what you'll need for today's activity is your journal or anything that you're writing on and something to write with. I'm going to read through the story one time while you close your eyes and make a picture or a visualization in your head. When we are all done with reading it the first time, then you're gonna start drawing. And I want you to make a drawing of Madame Rhinoceros and her dress. At the very end, we're also gonna talk about what you learned from this fable. So go grab your journal and a pencil, pause the video, and then come back when you're ready and we'll get started reading. Okay, third graders, like I said, I'm gonna read through this one time, not showing you the picture. Close your eyes and get ready to make a picture or to visualize. Madame Rhinoceros and her dress. Madame Rhinoceros saw a dress in the window of a shop. It was covered with polka dots and flowers. It was adorned with ribbons and lace. When something says it's adorned, that means it's got ribbons and lace or some kind of fanciness about it. She admired it for a moment and then entered the shop. "That dress in the window," said Madame Rhinoceros to a salesperson. "I would like to try it on." Madame Rhinoceros put on the dress. She looked at herself in the mirror. "I do not think this dress is at all attractive on me," she said. "But madam," said the salesperson, "you are completely wrong. This dress makes you look glamorous and alluring." Alluring means attractive. "If only I were sure," said Madame Rhinoceros. "Ah, madam," said the salesperson, "everyone who sees you wearing this dress will be filled with admiration and envy." "Do you really think so?" asked Madame Rhinoceros, turning around and around in front of the mirror. "Absolutely," said the salesperson. "You have my word." "Very well," said Madame Rhinoceros. "I will buy the dress and I will wear it now." Madame Rhinoceros left the shop. As she walked up the avenue, she saw that people were smiling and laughing at her. Admiration, thought Madame Rhinoceros. She saw some people who were shaking their heads and frowning. Envy, jealousy, thought Madame Rhinoceros. She continued up the avenue. Everyone who saw her stopped and stared. Madame Rhinoceros felt more glamorous and alluring with every step. So third graders, what do you think was happening there? Do you think that Madame Rhinoceros bought a dress that really made her beautiful? Think about it. Think about the evidence that you have about the way the people in the street were looking at her. I'm going to reread that part. Madame Rhinoceros left the shop. As she walked up the avenue, she saw people were smiling and laughing at her. Is it usually a good thing when you get laughed at? Then later on, she saw people who were shaking their heads and frowning. Everyone who saw her stopped and stared. Do you think Madame Rhinoceros actually looked good in the dress? What do you think? Probably not. I think that if people admired you, they might stop and stare, but I don't know that they would laugh or frown and shake their heads. So what your job is right now is to get out your journal and start drawing a picture. I'm going to reread it, and you draw a picture of what you see in your head. Okay, here we go. Madame Rhinoceros saw a dress in the window of the shop. It was covered with polka dots and flowers. It was adorned with ribbons and lace. She admired it for a moment and then entered the shop. The dress in the window, said Madame Rhinoceros to a salesperson. I would like to try it on. Madame Rhinoceros put on the dress. She looked at herself in the mirror. I do not think this dress is at all attractive on me, she said. But madam, said the salesperson, you are completely wrong. This dress makes you look glamorous and alluring. If only I were sure, said Madame Rhinoceros. Ah, madam, said the salesperson, everyone who sees you wearing this dress will be filled with admiration and envy. Do you really think so, said Madame Rhinoceros, turning around and around in front of the mirror. Absolutely, said the salesperson. You have my word. Very well, said Madame Rhinoceros. I will buy the dress and I will wear it now. Madame Rhinoceros left the shop. As she walked up the avenue, she saw the people were smiling and laughing at her. Admiration, thought Madame Rhinoceros. She saw some people who were shaking their heads and frowning. Envy, thought Madame Rhinoceros. She continued up the avenue. Everyone who saw her stopped and stared. Madame Rhinoceros felt more glamorous and alluring with every step. Okay, third graders, go ahead and finish your drawing of Madame Rhinoceros. Pause the video until you get it all done. When you come back, we'll talk about theme, and then we'll talk a little bit about your visualization when I show you the picture of Madame Rhinoceros. Okay, third graders, let's talk about the lesson the author wants us to learn. So we talked about earlier that Madame Rhinoceros probably did not look very good in her dress. Our evidence of that is people were stopping and staring and laughing and frowning and shaking their heads. Those are not good things. If we think about body language, that is not body language that shows us that she looks good. It's body language that shows us she probably looks pretty ridiculous. So why would the salesperson try to convince her to buy a dress that didn't look good on her? Think about it. Again, why would the salesperson try to convince Madame Rhinoceros to buy a dress that doesn't look good on her? Go ahead and tell me out loud like you were sitting in the same room with me. Yeah, the salesperson is trying to make money. He wants to sell Madame Rhinoceros the dress so that she can have a dress and look ridiculous, but the salesperson will still have money in their pocket from the sale. So what is the lesson that the author wants us to learn? What I want you to do is pause the video. I want you to think about the evidence in the text. A rhinoceros in an ugly dress. She knew it didn't look good on her, but the salesperson convinced her to buy it anyway by flattering her or telling her she looked good in it. What was the lesson the author wants you to learn? Go ahead and pause the video, write down the moral or lesson, and then come back and I'll tell you the moral or lesson that the author wrote in the book. Pause the video, don't come back till you've written what you think the moral or the lesson is. Okay, third graders, welcome back. So what the author has said, the moral of this fable is nothing is harder to resist than a bit of flattery. I probably wouldn't have put it in those words. I probably would have said something about how you have to be careful and not trust people who flatter you, or that you should listen to your own instincts. So if you said anything like that, great job. I can't wait to read what you think, but are you ready? You want to see Madame Rhinoceros in her ugly, terrible dress? Did your visualization look anything like this? Lots of good detail here. Guys, look at all those bows. My goodness, who designed that dress? All right, I hope you enjoyed this fable. Come back tomorrow and we'll read another fable. Send your teacher a picture of the visualization that you drew, as well as what you think the main, what the theme of this fable is. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, third graders. Talk soon.